Hey guys, it's Shannon from That DIY Couple. A couple weeks ago, John and I posted a video all about our weight loss journey, and we talked about how each of us has lost about 80 pounds by changing our diets. This generated a ton of questions about exactly what it is that we do to lose weight. So this is a video to show you exactly what we buy and what we cook and what we do every weekend to set ourselves up for success in the week ahead and not even have to think about it, just automatize our weight loss. So we're gonna walk you through what we buy at the store and all the cooking I do, usually on like a Saturday or Sunday morning, to just be one and done, a concentrated dose of insanity of cooking for a long time to give me sanity throughout the entire week around my food. So let's get right to it. The very first thing that I do is I take a look at what we have in our house already so that I'm not buying too much food. It wastes food and it wastes money if you're buying a bunch of produce every week that you don't actually use. And I cook beans every single week. That's my main source of protein. And what I do is before I go to the store, I go ahead and wash them and start them soaking. That cuts down the cooking time. And when you wash the beans really well, 3 times at least, I usually end up washing them like 4 times, and you skim off all of those bubbles, it actually helps you digest them so that they don't cause as much intestinal distress, which can be really like a thing when you first start eating beans. We don't actually possess the enzyme to digest beans, which is why they are known as beans. Beans are a wonderful fruit. The more you eat, the more you toot. The more you toot, the better you feel. So eat your beans for every meal. So if you eat beans a lot, it actually doesn't like cause you to have as much gas. And a big part of it is preparation. So washing them really well and soaking them is huge. Definitely cuts down on the gas. When you first start though adopting like a whole food plant-based diet, highly recommend you just buy some Beano. You eat Beano right before you eat beans, and it contains the enzyme that allows you to digest them, and it doesn't cause gas. Okay, so now I'm just gonna let it soak. I just covered the beans in quite a bit of water. Add a little bit more. And I'm just gonna let it soak while I go to the store, and that's gonna greatly reduce our cooking time. Hey guys, so here I am at the grocery store, and I like to hang out in this section of the grocery store. This is the produce section. This is where I do almost all of my shopping. When you're eating a whole foods plant-based diet, this is where all your nutrients come from. And a good rule of thumb is to just kind of go around the outside ring of the grocery store. Like the stuff that's in the middle aisles, all the processed, sugary, prepackaged stuff, it's generally just not good for you. So I spend a lot of time here, and I like to make a beeline for their organic area. I can type another video about why I eat organic. If it's not on your budget or it's not something you want to prioritize right now, don't let it stop you from trying a whole food plant-based diet. Any fruits that you eat are going to be so good for you compared to the standard American diet. So let's get to it. Pick up a couple of apples for John. I'm going to let him choose them though because he's very picky about how firm they are.
The apple is a very unique fruit. I really like very firm apples. Like if it would probably like break the teeth of a normal human being to bite into it, like that's an awesome apple. It's hard to find really firm apples in the winter, which is where we are right now, I find. So these actually, I just picked up 2. Wow, I'm very impressed. Here's one that I would just, see this? You just push it in, see that? My finger just goes right in there. No, it's trash. For another person, not for me. I'm not gonna be fooled by that apple.
This one. See that? See, look at this. How would you buy this? I mean, I might as well just throw it away. I don't think we'll buy that.
This is why you really want to wash your apples, because there's a pretty good chance that John has manhandled every apple at the grocery store. Any given grocery store, he's probably touched all of the apples there. I'm gonna pick up a couple of different types of berries for my salads. I'm gonna grab some organic raspberries, some organic blackberries, and then I have no idea what this is. This is a kiwi berry, and I was really excited to try it. Alright, couldn't find any organic blueberries, but blueberries have so many antioxidants, they're so good for you. I'm gonna buy the regular ones, just wash them really well. I'm also gonna buy an organic pineapple, and the way to test if your pineapple is ripe is you just smell his bum. It doesn't smell that ripe, but it's like, there's only 4 of them, so I'm gonna take this one because it smells the most ripe. And I'm gonna get 1 organic cabbage. I'm gonna get 1 squash. These are my go-to. I love these. These are the organic tricolored carrots. So I always get like 6 of these. I love carrots, particularly in the winter time. Carrots are actually like a cool weather crop, and they get a little bit like sweeter during the winter time. They're delicious. I'm gonna get some potatoes for John and another spaghetti squash for me. I love these things because it makes it so easy. I'm gonna get 1 of ginger. I go through a lot of these. I'm gonna get some sliced mushrooms. I like to get them sliced already. It's just a little bit easier for me. And mushrooms, I don't love them, but they're so good for you. Mushrooms contain properties which actually prevent the formation of new blood vessels forming, which is like when you're a baby, you need lots of blood vessels to form to make you grow, but when you're an adult, usually the only time that they need to form is if they need to feed new fat or if they need to feed a cancerous growth. So mushrooms are actually like super good for slowing the growth of cancers, and they like reduce like risk of prostate cancer in men and breast cancer in women. Mushrooms are so good for you. You should eat them. Figure out how to like them. They're so good. So I'm gonna get 1 thing of tomato. So I don't like to get the spring mix. I think it like wilts in the salad thing. What I really like to get is baby spinach. That's like my go-to. It's really good for you, and it like seems to stay fresh pretty long. Kale is like the best. Kale stays fresh forever, but I don't love the taste of kale as much. So I'm getting 2 different types of milk. So I'm getting almond milk and I'm getting hemp milk. Sometimes I like to have a little bit of a like protein milk in the morning. Other times I don't eat until I get to work when I have kind of like a big brunch. But I like to have this on hand, and I'm getting it in the type that doesn't have to be refrigerated, so that it's not gonna go bad until I start to open it. So this is the aisle that I don't spend a lot of time in, but my carnivorous dogs are not vegan. So I do make them food. There's actually been a lot of research that indicates that even just adding a little bit of cooked food into your dog's diet in addition to kibble can really help prevent the incidence of cancer in dogs. And so I started cooking for them, and they love it. So I am gonna get them a little bit of organic ground turkey, some veggies, and some rice, and that's what I make for them. So I'm buying some broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots for the dog food, and also some turkey for them, about a pound.
And I'm buying the best-selling novel, Montana Heat, True to You. I just thought, like, who I am, like my true self, is that guy right there. And it's amazing, you just walk in a grocery store aisle and you just pull a book down, see a picture on it. Could be anybody, could be any book, but it happened to be this book. It happened to be this gentleman. Just a guy, just trying to make sense of it, I don't know.
So one of the first things I do when I get home is I make the food for the dogs. So I'm gonna take 2 cups of rice. I'm gonna put the rice and the ground turkey or chicken in a pan to boil with about 6 cups of water. I'm gonna bring it to a boil and then reduce the heat and let it cook for 20 minutes. And I'm gonna add a little bit of rosemary seasoning so that it gives them just a little bit of flavor. And then at the very end, I'm going to add the frozen veggies and cook for another 5 or 10 minutes. I love this dog food.
You like that? Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the first thing I like to do is I like to put my beans on to boil because the beans take a while to cook, and so while I'm prepping all the other food, I can have them going. Around this time, I'm also gonna start the process of baking my squash. So I'm gonna put my oven on 425 and get it preheating. I'm still waiting for the beans water to boil, but I'm gonna add about a half a tube of this ground ginger. Here we go, 2.5 teaspoons ground sugar. I'm also gonna add 3 teaspoons of salt. Hugo's here helping me cook. So just sliced up and taken the seeds out of the squashes, and then I've put water in here just to cover them a little bit, and they're gonna cook. That water is gonna cook them. So just washed up these potatoes, drizzled them with olive oil, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of rosemary. I've got the beans cooking here. I've got the boys' dog food cooking here. I'm gonna throw these in the oven. I like to set a timer of about 30 minutes to check on stuff, but it kind of depends. Like usually you'll see when these start to get browned that those are pretty much done. But really the best indication is smell. When it starts to smell really good, then you know it's getting close. So I've just chopped up a bunch of spinach. I'm gonna put 2.5 of these in the beans. So that's about 12.5 ounces. So while the food over here has been boiling, I have been washing the stuff that's gonna go in my salad. And I've just chopped up these cute little kiwi berries, and I can't wait to try them. However, I am not going to try them now. I actually don't test or like taste the food while I'm making it because I find that I start to like overeat it, and my whole thing is like eating it according to a plan. So I just make the food and then I'll eat it the next day when it's like time to eat it. So I just added the chopped spinach to the bean mixture, and I'm gonna mix it up, and then I'm gonna put in I think I'm gonna put in 2 cups of 2 big cans of the tomatoes, and then see how that looks. So I've just added in the tomatoes here, and I'm just gonna mix this all up. I've also added a little bit more water just to like change the texture a little bit. My timer just went off for 30 minutes. Check on these. So I just moved around the potatoes and I checked the squash, and they're not at all brown, and it doesn't smell at all good yet, so it's not even close. I put it on for another 30. So I have just chopped up a bunch of fruit. I've got my leftovers in the compost there, and this is gonna go into the salads as the first item at the bottom of the jar for my lunch salads. I'm gonna give this a little bit of fat and add a little bit of like a masala seasoning to it. So I buy coconut oil in this huge container off of Amazon because I cook with it all the time. It has a more high boiling point than other types of oils, so it's a little bit healthier for you. And I use it a lot in my cosmetics. So I like just like a bunch in here. And I'm gonna turn this on and let it start to melt here. I'm gonna put it on medium. I'm gonna add 2.5 teaspoons of cumin seed to this oil. I'm gonna add a little bit less than a teaspoon of this stuff, which is Indian spice called hing, or I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like asafoetida. So a little less than a tablespoon of hing or asafoetida. I'm just letting this cook for a couple of seconds until these cumin seeds are kind of cackling and are like golden brown. I've turned off the heat here, and I'm gonna add a bunch of heaping teaspoons, 5 of coriander. And to give it a little bit of kick, I'm gonna add some cayenne pepper. This you should really add however much you like to make it spicy. And then this is my masala. I'm just gonna pour it into the mixture, and then I'm gonna mix it all up. This is a little bit more watery than I normally make it. Probably would have added less water if I were to do it again. But it looks pretty good. So we'll have John taste it. Okay, so John's potatoes are done, but I don't think the squash is done. It's not cooked on the outside. It doesn't have like a brownish tint. But the potatoes are done because I was able to slice through it. Alright, John is gonna be my tester of these beans.
Armed with only a single spoon. It's really good. Now, I wonder, is this a good exfoliant? Because we've experimented with turmeric-based exfoliants in the past. Ooh, it's so spicy.
I put a little cayenne today.
Got a little pump, a little kick. Ooh, I love that.
Potatoes.
Well, they're so hot that just touching it caused me the most pain I've ever felt in my finger. Far too hot to eat. Far
Spit it out, spit it out.
I'm a man. Delicious. It was like eating a boiling pot of water. It just exploded in my mouth. Man, that was uncomfortable. But very good. Whoa! Yes,
George is excited.
Yes, George, I ate that. Overall, I give it an A+. Very good. Everything was very fantastic.
Thanks,
I won't be
babe.
able to taste much food again. Possibly forever. And I'm thinking back on a book and just think of what could have been.
So the squash finally started smelling fragrant, and it's brown on the outside, so I've taken it out, turning off the oven, and I'm gonna let this cool. I'm going to assemble my salads now, but just to note, this is the amount of compost that I've generated just for this 1 week of meal prep, just for chopping up the produce. And this is gonna go on my compost pile tomorrow morning outside, which is basically just leaves and grass and household like compost, which fuels my garden, which gets me more of this stuff later in the season. And the first thing I do is I lay out the mason jars I'm gonna use. So these are just, I think, the large size mason jar. And I set them up like this. But on the left, I'm gonna put together my lunch salad, and on the right, I'm gonna put together my dinner salad. So here's the fruit that goes in my lunch salad, and this is my food scale. What I do is I put the jar on, and then I 0 it like that, and then I just measure out 6 ounces of fruit, and I start with the heaviest stuff, like the pineapple. The reason I put the fruit first is because it gets kind of mushy and it's juicy, and you really want to keep that stuff at the bottom of your mason jar because you want the green salad to stay really fresh. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use like carrots and this cabbage, which is really thick, as kind of a barrier between the tender green salad and the fruit, and then I'm gonna pack it all in like really deep so that there's not a lot of air in there, and that's how I keep my salads fresh all week long. So I'm up to 4.6. And when I first started doing this type of diet, I thought it was a little crazy, to be honest, to weigh and measure your food. I thought like that just seemed like a level of insanity that I was not willing to entertain in my life. And it worked for me for a little while to not do that. I just transferred over to a whole food plant-based diet, and I didn't, he goes here, he wants to be a part of this conversation. So I transferred over to a whole food plant-based diet, and I didn't weigh and measure my food at all. But I plateaued and I was like not losing weight. And so I decided to follow the Bright Line Eating Diet, hook, line, and sinker, and start weighing and measure my food. And lo and behold, like when I measure and weigh my food, I lose weight. When I don't, I don't. So it was really as easy as that. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that, but I think the main one is that we're just generally kind of bad at knowing how much we need to eat, or at least people who struggle with their weight are. People who don't, maybe better at it. But I'm bad at it. And recognizing that I was bad at it was like very liberating for me to be able to, to say, okay, you know what? I'm not great at estimating how much I'm eating or how much I need to eat. I'll just like take this expert's word for it that this is an appropriate amount for me to eat and lose weight. And so that there's no second guessing it or guesswork, I'll just weigh and measure it. It's liberating to actually make that decision and trust an expert. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It gives me great peace of mind and tranquility around my food that I'm like eating the correct amount for my optimal health and nutrition. And also I'm doing something that can continue me on the trajectory toward optimal health and feeling great. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure out 6 ounces for all of my lunch salads, and then I'll show you what I do next. All right, so I've just measured out 7 mason jars for 7 days of food. This is just the fruit that's at the bottom of the salads, 6 ounces in each of kiwi, berry, pineapple, mango, blueberry, raspberry, and blackberry. And he goes here. And those berries are going to give me a ton of antioxidants and micronutrients to fuel my body and heal my body and carry me through the week. I feel so great when I'm eating these salads. So the next thing that goes in both my lunch and dinner salads is 6 ounces of carrots. So I'm gonna put 6 ounces of carrots on top of my fruit for my lunch salads and 6 ounces of carrots as the base of my dinner salads. So I finished adding the carrots to the salads, 6 ounces in each, and I just have a few left over. I'm gonna save those as treats for George. He likes to chew on them like bones. Now I'm gonna add the remaining, what I would call sweaty veggies. So this is stuff like peppers and tomatoes. I'm gonna leave I like to leave the mushrooms for last because they're very delicate, so I can put them on the top. But these peppers and tomatoes, they release a lot of like fumes. I don't remember what the name of the gas is that they release that makes stuff goes bad. So I like to really pack them down at the bottom, and then I separate them with this really like tough cabbage as like a kind of a barrier between them and the lettuce. So I'm gonna put a total of 8 ounces. I'm gonna put a total of 8 ounces of all of this stuff, all of this different salad stuff, in the lunch salads, and a total of 10 ounces in the dinner salad. And the way that I do that using the food scale is I put this on and it reads whatever it reads, and then I zero it so I can add new stuff and know exactly how much I'm adding pretty easily. I think I'm also going to chop up 1 onion and add that in here too. So I just chopped up an onion here, and I'm going to put in a little bit of onion, a little bit of tomato, peppers, and here's where it starts to get, you have to really start to push this stuff down to make room. I'm gonna add my layer of cabbage. To really push it down. Up to 6 ounces. And now I'm gonna add about 2 ounces of spinach. So you can see there's really not a ton of air left in this when I'm done. All right, so I pushed it down. I put my delicate mushrooms on top, the delicate spinach right below that, the layer of my cabbage, the bell peppers, onions, carrots, and fruit. This is a perfect lunch salad for me, combined with the beans and squash. All right, so I finished my salads. There they are. All right, so I'm just gonna scoop 4 ounces of a combination of the butternut and spaghetti squash. Let me show you if I can, the way that the spaghetti squash comes out. That's why it's called spaghetti squash, because it's long and stringy. So I've just finished putting a week's worth of squashes for my lunch. So now I'm gonna add 6 ounces of beans to my lunch containers, and I'm gonna create a new dinner container with 6 ounces of beans as well. All right, here's the output of the labor. So this is my lunch and dinner for an entire week. So for lunch, I'm having the 8-ounce salad with 6 ounces of carrots and 6 ounces of fruit. And then I'm having 6 ounces of lentils and spinach and tomato mixed with 4 ounces of squash. And for dinner, I'm having 6 ounces of lentils and 10 ounces of salad, 6 ounces of carrots. And there's all the fruit that John's gonna eat this week. There's all the plastic that this generated. So I really wish I lived in a place where I could just go and pick up salad, vegetables and stuff and not have any plastic generated. I don't though. There's just nothing like that near where I live. So what I try to do is I actually reuse those plastic bins in my gardening. So I will take those plastic bins, save them up, and poke holes in the bottom of them, and then use the little top of them as like a base to catch water. I put soil in it, and then I put my lettuce in it, and I make these little, I plant lettuce seeds, and I make like basically little like, I grow salad in the salad container. However, you know, optimally I wouldn't be having to buy as much plastic. These are all the dishes. So it's like a week's worth of dishes. I'm gonna wash those in the morning. And there's the compost. So yeah, it's like a lot of work. As you can see, it's a lot of work. But I do it on the weekend when I'm relaxed. I pop on a TV show. Right now I've just watched like several episodes of Frasier, and I look forward to it. There's something really immensely gratifying about preparing your own food, and I love it. I know I love feeling like I'm eating just the right amount of food to stay healthy, like I'm getting tons of micronutrients to fuel my body and my mind and get me through the week. And I love the like certainty of knowing what I'm gonna have for my next meal and not having to even think about it or worrying about it. It really brings the realm of eating into automaticity, which is fantastic for someone like me who's busy and who wants to be able to just grab and go. So I'll be able to take these mason jars with me each morning. I wash them at work, bring them home, put them back in my cupboard, and then I'm ready to go next week. And I love this system, and I love this way of eating. I've never felt better. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like more videos, if you felt it was overwhelming, if you tell me your thoughts, and give me a thumbs up and subscribe so you can learn more about how we eat and why we eat the way that we do. Until next time, thanks guys, bye.